Okay, part two, brothers and sisters. Now we're talking about how China right now is exposing a lot of hypocrisy in both the establishment left and the establishment right wing. Okay, China. All right. Now, this isn't so much an excuse to rip on China so that a bunch of war hawks can go to war with them and start World War III. But the thing is that China is... There's a lot to criticize about China, but the thing is, it's like this. If you have a family of righteous people or people who claim to be righteous, and you're against prostitution, you know that prostitution is always going to exist in some way, form, or fashion. So because that's a constant that you can't really ever destroy, then the thing is to hold your family accountable whether they contribute to said problem or not. So it's kind of like, yeah, I know prostitutes are out there, but I knew that they were going to be out there, and that's something that I can't really stop. Jimmy, Uncle John, on the other hand, brother who and who, they said that they were good people, and then I caught them soliciting a prostitute, and now I'm horrified and pissed because there's something I can do about you, motherfucker. There's something I can do about you. All right, well, let's talk about China. I guess we'll start with the right wing because I'm right-handed, so left, right, left, whatever. The thing is that a lot of people who denounce communism day and night, and I really do think, as Ron Paul pointed out in an excellent video, that the GOP are filled with a cut of the same cloth of, ironically, Marxists. But the people who would be a cut of the same cloth that are Marxist, but that had a capitalist boob job, a Christian facelift, and a right-wing sex change for appearances. So basically, a lot of modern-day Republicans are founded by Zionist globalist Marxists and radical statists who Caitlyn Jennered themselves to fit in with the Republican Party. And that's why we see a lot of the things that we were afraid of happening under communism happen under what we call capitalism. I don't call it capitalism, but that's what it's going to be called. But the thing is that a lot of these people who curse out communism and socialism day in and day out, and that they say that Mexicans are coming to take our jobs, really like to ignore that, one, Mexicans can't take your jobs. Business owners can give them your jobs because then business owners can basically use them like slaves and exploit the hell out of them because these people are desperate, so they'll work harder for more money. And if they misbehave, they can be turned into ICE, who ICE just does this great job of arresting so many people who are illegal immigrants and some people who aren't illegal immigrants, but then they won't arrest all the people who hired them. So are we punishing the prostitute but not the pimp or the John? This is the kind of shit that I think was the underlying non-spoken implied thing that was wrong whenever the Pharisees brought the woman caught in adultery to Jesus. It's like, look, dude, if you read the Old Testament, even in the hardcore, angry Old Testament, you find out that it's like it takes two to tango. You don't just punish women caught in adultery, you punish the man too. And I mean, of course, Jesus already knew that the Pharisees and the mob was trying to catch him in a trap, because if he said, don't kill the woman, then he'd be breaking Jewish law. But if he said, do kill the woman, then he'd be breaking Roman law by calling for an execution without the Romans' permission. So they're all trying to get you masked up and jacked up anyway. Now, this isn't a Bible sermon, but it's something I'm familiar with, and I think the analogy holds here. The analogy holds here that a lot of these people, they say, oh, socialism bad, Mexicans taking your jobs. And it's like, no, not really. First of all, they don't take our jobs. Our boss has to give them jobs. And the thing is, I'm not happy that they came in here illegally. That's not cool. But that's besides the point. Because, yeah, I have that against them. But here's the deal. You are lying, or you're being horribly unfair whenever you can let all of these businessmen take American jobs and give them to people that they can exploit. That they're losing a lady to get a whore. that they're trying to not deal with a woman who has rights and opinions in a relationship so that they can date a little girl who's vulnerable and easy to manipulate. How do you not hold these businessmen accountable? These businessmen who refuse to obey the law, who are doing something illegal, who are contributing to the illegal immigration problem, even though they curse it out day and night. They're contributing to the illegal immigration problem by hiring people that they know are illegals so that they can break the law even further and exploit them. And then you blame the Mexicans? I mean, if you want to argue about how much they're on welfare or whatever, I have a feeling that most of our tax dollars goes to Medicaid, Social Security, and the military. So I seriously doubt that they're taking as much of your tax dollars as possible. I think some people on the right need to realize that the biggest welfare whores are millionaires and Israel and banks and corporations more than it is a bunch of families down the street in a ghetto who may or may not be gaming the system. Even if they are, it is nothing compared to the people that you worship. The people that you worship are the biggest welfare whores. They're the biggest welfare queens. They put other countries before our own, and they want to break up the family unit. And you're sitting here and you're saying to yourself, well, socialism this, socialism that. Yeah, I'm not a giant fan of socialism myself. Whenever liberals get all up and high and mighty on religion and capitalism, I do bring up the Soviet Union and stuff like that. But even then, I want to be intellectually honest about it. The thing is that we talk about these people who want us to blame immigrants for taking our jobs. Those same people who took your job and quote-unquote gave it to somebody else so they could exploit them and leave you out of a job, those same people sent our jobs overseas to China. So you want to get on a self-righteous high horse and talk about how you're a Christian and you support Christians and you hate that communist China is, hurting Christians over there. But then the thing is that you support all of these businessmen who took American jobs for American people and sent them over to fucking Red China. And you want to say, those damn Democrats? No, it was Republicans. It's probably more Republicans than Democrats. I already told you that a lot of the GOP is made up of former Marxists from Israel, former Trotskyites. So did Ron Paul. You ain't fiscally conservative. They're not fiscally conservative at all. This isn't me being a liberal saying that you're fucked up for being a conservative. This is me as a moderate saying you're fucked up for saying you're a conservative when you're not. But you can't see that. You don't want to see that because your entire purpose in life is whenever somebody shits on you, you punch down instead of punching up. There's no way for somebody to shit on you that bad whenever they're below you. At best, they can stub their toes or maybe reach up and hit you in the balls. That ain't cool, but if you want to know about the things that have gravity that smash down on you, it's because from people who are above you. The same people that are telling you to hate Mexicans are the ones who, quote-unquote, gave them your job in the first place. And they're the ones who are sending your jobs overseas to China, which, even though it's technically kind of capitalist, it's still got a lot of communist organs. Kind of like how a panda bear, eats plants, but it's got a lot of the organs of a carnivore. I mean, China says that it's capitalist. I would say that maybe you would call it authoritarian state capitalism, but it's still got some very communist organs. Obama basically said that it was like internationally it's capitalist, but nationally it's communist. So it's like from the neck down it's red, but from the neck up it's blue or capitalist, kind of like a fucked up Optimus Prime. I digress. The thing is that we send all of our jobs over there, the place that persecutes Christians, as well as Muslims and other religions and blacks, that persecutes all those people. And at the same time, they have slave labor and suicide nets around their factories. And the way that they silent dissent is horrifying. The way that they're trying to annex Hong Kong is controversial, to say the least. But the thing is that as much as you curse them day and night, you're one who curses prostitutes, yet solicits them. And I'm getting fed up with it. and the fact that you're okay with our businessmen sending them our jobs. Why are you so obsessed with worshiping businessmen? They are not self-made men. They're not Americans. I don't even know if they're humans. These rich businessmen, and they're not capitalists. Whatever capitalism they use to climb up the ladder, they kick the ladder down. It's not a meritocracy anymore. Most of them have inherited wealth. It's a neo-feudal aristocracy. It's dynasties of economic royalty. It is not meritocracy. It is not free market. They are crushing the free market because they seek to destroy all the mom and pop stores so that there's no competition. They're the ones who made bank with all the rioting and looting that happened. They're the ones who are the ones coming out on top that destroyed all the small competition after the pandemic happened. You don't see that? So this shows how China is showing how a lot of people who are rich businessmen, who claim to be conservative, who claim to be patriotic, who claim to care about Christians, are complete amoral assholes. They send our jobs over to China's, what some people have called a draconian technocracy, or something leading to a draconian technocracy. They send our jobs over there. It wasn't taken by some Mexican, okay? And it's like, yeah, I'm not happy that they came in here illegally, but that's just, the thing is that that's not the point. We can argue about that later. But the thing is, how is it that you're going to say that ICE is justified whenever it gets all of these illegal immigrants, but it doesn't get the motherfuckers who hired them? It's kind of like, it's the same kind of fucked up that the Pharisees had with Jesus and the woman, possibly prostitute, caught in adultery. Israel has the same problem with prostitution too, where they punish the prostitutes, the human trafficked victims, but they don't punish the pimps or the Johns. It's evil. It is evil as hell. Yes, I think prostitution is wrong. And yes, I kind of do have a little bit of disdain for people who, who do this and it wasn't a choice. But whenever I know that a lot of them are victims of something wrong, that's whenever I stop bringing down the hammer on them and I start bringing down the hammer on everybody else that got them to that point. Holy cow, guys. Are we so narcissistic that we can't fucking see the light of day on this issue? I mean, seriously, I'm sad that I am apologetic that I was ignorant to how this was for the longest time. Now, we've talked about how China has shown that the right wing is hypocritical. Let's talk about how China has shown that the left wing is hypocritical. Namely, Disney. I know it's not fair to just say Disney as an entirety is left-wing, but it's how they present themselves. Now, the thing is that Disney, it acts like it's all progressive. It acts like it gives a shit about Black Lives Matters. It acts like it's all progressive towards gays and stuff. Well, when it makes some money, it is. It's not that way with China. With China, they edited versions of the Star Wars movies and they edited posters so that John Boyega is smaller because China doesn't like American black people. And the thing is, Disney is probably going to make this epic Mulan movie where they're going to be so sensitive towards China's culture and mythology and all that jazz. We will see. But the thing is that they want to go and they want to, they want to like make start this controversy about the Little Mermaid being black. Well, the thing is that at first I don't think many people were that steamed about the idea of the Little Mermaid being black, but whenever some people casually criticized it as just being unnecessary, and of course you might have one or two assholes that are genuinely racist, but a couple of people just criticized it as, why, they brought up points, maybe they should make something new, maybe they should make something based off of African mythology. There's so many other mythologies and fairy tales besides Western European mythologies. I mean, if you want to be more multicultural, then you shouldn't just take something European and make it black or Hispanic. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the thing is that you're really doing a disservice by saying that black people only deserve to repaint something white people have done. No, African civilizations, Hispanic civilizations, Asian civilizations, they've got so many amazing mythologies and fairy tales and folklores and historical events that we have yet to discover. Disney, have so much to go by. There's even a South American Brazilian mermaid. That's an interesting story. It's like a freshwater South American mermaid. Why don't you make a movie about that? It'll be close enough to The Little Mermaid that you'll be working with something similar, but it'll be different enough that it won't just look like you're just cloning The Little Mermaid. It's not bad that the Little Mermaid might be reimagined as black people. There's nothing really wrong with that. But I realize what it is now. You're not doing that to help out black people. You, Disney, and I'm accusing you of this. You, Disney, are trying to start controversy because you hire people to start things that was a casual debate into a nasty fight, so that Americans are fighting each other based on whether we're going to have a black Little Mermaid or not, which at the end of the day isn't that important. But it's not that seeing a black Little Mermaid pisses me off as much as it is I think you're really just trying to start shit between people on the internet so that you can distract us from the fact that you're fucking over black people in a subtle way to get that China money. That you're appealing, that you are dropping your pro-gay, pro-black stance for China. That's why you're stirring up shit on the internet. That's why you're pointing fingers at everybody else. You don't want us to see the skeletons in your closet with your sexual scandals and with what you're doing now. Not Song of the South bullshit. I mean like stuff now. That's why you're going through all these things. It's like, oh, we'll throw away Song of the South. You know that's not what was hurting people. That's not what's hurting black people right now. What's hurting black people right now, that's your fault, Disney, is the fact that you will bend the knee, and whenever you release a version of Black Panther for China, you do a poster where they cover up his face because you know that the Chinese don't like black people. Whenever you release a cover of Star Wars for China, you shrink Finn because you know that China doesn't like black people. And that you're doing everything for China. And that if there's a scene to where it's vaguely like there's like two gay people in the background kissing each other for like 2 seconds, and you want to pat yourself on the back for being progressive, and then you cut that out for the Chinese version. And then it's like, and then like you edit Star Wars not to mention anything about ghosts or spirituality because the Chinese government doesn't like that. Look, nothing against the Chinese people. I've been reading a book about Chinese philosophy and it's fucking amazing. But the fucking Chinese government right now, whatever ratio you want to say that is half capitalist or half communist or whatever, it's draconian. It's fucked up. And the thing is that you have compromised your morals and you've gotten us Americans fighting and being mean to each other and actually causing actual racism between blacks and whites just so that we'll be distracted by that while you suck Chinese dick. Fuck you, Disney. Why don't you actually help out people in a way that actually helps them out instead of trying to distract us with pointless little tokens and snippets, pretending to give a rat's ass about actually helping somebody who might be oppressed or might be going through some kind of social injustice, instead of just distracting us with some bullshit about we're going to make a shitty remake and it'll be better because now The Little Mermaid is black. So even though it's a shitty movie that we don't give two rat's asses about, we're going to hide behind racism so that you go watch it. And anybody who criticizes it, it's going to start another Twitter civil war. And then you do all that stuff that really, really does hurt black people and gay people for China. Just for China. You bend over for China on that shit. And I know it seems petty, but it actually has a lot of real world consequences. And there's other things that I could talk about too. Other people have brought up, kind of how they did that to appease China. And some people, now, I can't assume this, but considering what Disney has been doing, I'm wondering that if the remake for Mulan is leaving out Mushu, because Mushu was voiced by Eddie Murphy, and China doesn't like black people. Now, I'm open to the idea of seeing a kick-ass phoenix fly around, because I like phoenixes, and, I'm kind of into that shit. But the thing is that it looks like Disney is putting forth all of its effort into making a kick-ass Mulan movie, but it's a Mulan movie that kisses the ass of the Chinese, and it's been at the expense of everything else, and then they've accused all the critics of everything else of being racist or whatever, and it's like, it's getting old. It's getting old, and it's all because you want that China money. And the thing is that you're thinking, well, Disney's doing it to make money. Disney is doing just what the Republicans are doing. And that is that they're enabling a tyrannical government to oppress people, and they're dropping all of their morals to put on a new mask for Chinese authoritarianism that is anti-black and anti-gay, and that persecutes people. It works them to death in factories. That slavery, kids are in these sweatshops that have suicide nets. Let that sink in. Right now, the sin of America's nation is that for cheap goods, we sold a lot of our businesses and opportunities that should have been used for Americans to China so that we could use China's slave labor to get us addicted to their cheap goods. And by doing so, we deliberately helped their government enslave and torture their own people. They don't need an American intervention because then we would try to take over. Besides, we can't because we're so in debt with them that we're basically their little bitch. And it doesn't mean we need to be going to war with China because then that would be a cover-up. It would be a boogeyman so that we never have to fix our own shit. But somewhere along the lines, we need to say that whenever we were just so obsequiously loyal to China, it wasn't because we respected their people. It wasn't because we respected their history or their culture or that we tried to understand whatever snippets of wisdom that they could offer us. It was because we helped them enslave and hurt their own people for our own gain while screaming how much we hated communism day and night and slept with it. Once again, America's leaders have asked for a lady but really wanted a whore. And it makes me sad because as somebody who's an American, I want to love my country. I want to love my country like my family. And like my grandmother and my mom and my granny, rest in peace on her side, they're people who love you, but they hold you to a standard because they want you to be a hero. They want you to go to heaven when you die. They want you to be somebody that they can be proud of. No, you don't have to be perfect. No, you don't have to be a raging success, but you have to have honor. And it's because they love you that they want you to be a good person. So it's because I want to love America, if it's still possible. I want it to be a good person. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It will always have problems, and we will get through those problems if we try. But it's because I want it to be a good person. That's what real love looks like.